the mysterious woman of the market, and the secret that scared the village. In Isoba, located deep in a dense forest in Africa, humans and creatures lived in a silent but not entirely harmonious coexistence. Among the villagers, a mysterious young woman named Nayara stood out. Her beauty was mesmerizing, and her calm and reserved nature aroused everyone's curiosity and admiration. The men of the village constantly tried to woo her, expressing their feelings with compliments and marriage proposals. "Nayara, you are the most charming woman I have ever seen. Will you marry me?" they would ask. However, she always responded with a gentle smile and a phrase that had become her trademark: "Thank you, but I am not ready yet." Every day, Nayara went to the market to sell fruits and vegetables. Her produce was the freshest and tastiest in the region, and the villagers lined up to buy it. But there was something peculiar about her. No one knew where she lived. She always arrived at the market early and left before sunset, never revealing where her home was. This further piqued the curiosity of the village, leading many to ask, "Where does Nayara live? Why do we never see her after the market closes?" One afternoon, a young traveler named Izan arrived in Isoba. He was searching for supplies and went to the local market. As soon as he saw Nayara, he was instantly smitten. "She is the most beautiful woman I have ever seen," he thought, unable to look away. Gathering his courage, he approached her and said, "Hello, my name is Izan. What is your name?" Nayara smiled softly. "I am Nayara. How can I help you today?" Fascinated by her sweet voice and welcoming expression, Izan bought some fruit just to prolong the conversation. The two talked about the market, the village, and the weather. He found himself increasingly drawn to her and began to frequent the market daily, just to see her. Over time, they developed a friendship, but Izan felt there was something more. He was falling in love. One night, when the market was closing, Izan realized it was already late. Seeing Nayara packing her things to leave, he offered, "Can I walk you home? It's not safe to walk alone in the dark." Nayara hesitated, but when he insisted, she accepted. Together, they walked along the path that led out of the village. As they walked, the cold wind blew through the trees, and an unsettling silence hung in the air. Suddenly, Izan felt a chill. Something cold and invisible brushed the back of his neck. His heart raced. He turned around, but saw nothing. A shiver ran down his spine. Something was wrong. He looked at Nayara, who continued walking calmly, as if she hadn't noticed anything. "Nayara, I think I should go back. It's already very dark." She stopped and looked at him with an enigmatic smile. "As you wish, Izan. If you want to go back, I understand." The calm tone of her voice made fear grow within him. Without thinking twice, Izan turned around and ran back to the village without looking back. Since that day, he never returned to the market to see her. The villagers noticed her absence and wondered what had happened. Why did Izan stop coming to the market? But no one had any answers. What few knew was that Nayara was hiding a deep secret. She was no ordinary young woman. Her true home was in the enchanted forest beyond Isoba. Nayara lived among humans, but she was not one of them. Her family had mystical abilities and could shape-shift, but Nayara was the only one who could remain human at all times. Her parents loved her deeply, but they always warned her about the dangers of getting involved with humans. "Nayara, you cannot fall in love with a human. Our world is different from theirs." When Izan began to get closer, her family became concerned. They didn't want her to fall in love, so they decided to push him away. The cold hand Izan felt on the back of his neck that night was a warning from his family, a whisper from the forest to keep him away. Nayara was sad. She liked Izan and wanted to create bonds in the village, but her family wouldn't allow it. She was trapped between two worlds, the one she was born into and the one she wanted to live in. Tired of the rules and restrictions imposed on her, Nayara made a drastic decision. She would return to the forest one last time, but only to say goodbye. The following night, she walked into the shadows of the forest and looked at her family. "I love you all, but I want to live my own life. I want to be free to make my own choices." Her parents were sad, but they understood her wish. Before she left, her mother warned her one last time, "Be careful, Nayara. The human world is cruel." With a heavy heart, Nayara left the forest behind and moved permanently to the village of Isoba. But fate still had surprises in store for her. Nayara settled in the village of Isoba, determined to build a new life among humans. At first, things seemed peaceful. She continued to sell her fruits at the market, and although she missed her family, she was happy to finally be able to make her own choices. However, not everything was so simple. Unbeknownst to Nayara, the forest was still watching her. One night, as she was closing her tent, an old woman named Mumbai approached her. The village elder rarely left her hut, but that day, she made a point of speaking to Nayara. "Girl, the forest never lets go of those who belong to it. You feel that, don't you?" Mumbai said, her voice hoarse and piercing. Nayara shivered. She had always respected Mumbai, but something in those words made her uneasy. "I don't know what you're talking about," she replied, trying to ignore the shiver that ran down her spine. Mumbai just smiled enigmatically. "You'll know soon enough." That night, Nayara had a strange dream. She was in the forest, surrounded by familiar shadows. Her father and mother were there, but their faces were pale and worried. "You shouldn't have left, daughter," her mother said. "Something is coming to get you." Before Nayara could respond, a loud sound echoed through the forest. Something was moving among the trees, something large. Her eyes strained to see through the darkness, but before she could see what it was, she woke up, gasping, in her bed. The days passed, and Nayara tried to ignore the feeling that something was stalking her. But then, the first signs began to appear. The villagers began to find strange footprints around the village. Some were too large to belong to any known animal. Others seemed to disappear into thin air. A farmer's chickens were found dead in a single night without any apparent injuries. "It's the spirits of the forest," the elders warned. "Someone has disturbed the balance." The rumor spread, and suspicious eyes began to turn to Nayara. She noticed the whispers whenever she passed and felt the tension grow. Humans can be welcoming, but they can also be cruel when they are afraid. One night, as she was closing up her tent, Nayara felt a familiar chill. The air around her grew heavy, and the night seemed darker than usual. She looked around. The streets were empty, and the torches that lit the way flickered as if they were fighting an invisible wind. Then she heard it, a low, threatening growl. Turning slowly, Nayara saw something in the shadows. Something large. Bright eyes watched her from the darkness. Her heart raced. It was a warning. The forest had not forgotten her. And now, something had come to get her. Nayara felt the weight of the night closing in around her. Her instincts screamed for her to run, but something inside her knew that running would do no good. The forest was calling her back, and now the village was beginning to reject her as well. She took a few steps back, keeping her eyes fixed on the shadows. The growl grew louder, reverberating in the darkness like a contained thunder. Then, from within the shadows, a gigantic form emerged. The being had glowing golden eyes and a slender body covered in dark, almost translucent down that rippled in the wind. Nayara recognized its presence. It was a guardian of the forest, an entity that watched over the balance between the worlds. Her heart sank. The village was not safe. If the creature had come here, it meant that something much bigger was happening. "I made my choice," she whispered, knowing that the creature could understand her. The guardian tilted his head, watching her with an intense gaze. His eyes seemed to pierce Nayara's soul, as if searching for something that only he could see. Then, without warning, he roared. The sound cut through the silence of the night, causing the flames of the torches to flicker violently. Doors began to open. Residents came out of their homes, frightened by the noise. When their eyes found Nayara and the creature, screams of terror echoed through the village. "Witch! She brought the curse of the forest," shouted one of the villagers. "We need to get rid of her before everyone dies," shouted another. Nayara felt despair grow inside her. She had never wanted to hurt anyone, never wanted to be seen as a threat. But the humans did not understand. Their eyes were clouded with fear, and fear transformed them. Stones were raised, torches were lit. The villagers' gaze, once filled with curiosity and affection, was now filled with fury and hatred. She had no choice. Nayara raised her hands and closed her eyes. A strong wind rose, swirling around her. Dust rose, mixing with the flames of the torches. The guardian roared again, and then, in the blink of an eye, they both disappeared into the night. The village of Isoba never saw Nayara again. Some believed she had been taken by the creature, others that she had been punished for defying the ancient spirits. But there were those who, on silent nights, swore they heard a whisper in the wind calling her name. Years passed, and Isoba continued with her routine. The market still prospered, and new generations came and went. But deep in the forest, among ancient trees and crystal-clear streams, Nayara walked free. She had finally found her place. No longer divided between two worlds, Nayara had become a spirit of the forest, a legend whispered in the starry nights. Those who got lost in the woods swore they saw a woman with deep eyes and hair blowing in the wind, guiding them back to the safe path. The forest never forgets its own.